wild rice crops in northern Saskatchewan are under threat.
Full-size covers.
A popular alternative media outlet in the province is stopping the presses. And some high-flying superheroes bring smiles to kids at a Regina hospital.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Wednesday, September 10th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. I'm Ethan Williams. Thank you for joining us. A rapidly spreading pest is destroying the wild rice harvest in northern Saskatchewan and threatening to upend a crop harvested by Indigenous communities for generations. Alexander Silberman has our top story.
On remote northern lakes in Saskatchewan's boreal forest, Phyllis and Tommy Smith are ready to harvest their dense patch of wild rice, a traditional food for Cree communities here for generations.
Right here, and here's another one.
But these pests, known as rice worms, are threatening to destroy their livelihood.
You depend on rice for a lot of things, so it's pretty devastating.
Every year it seems to get worse.
Smith and his wife gathered just 20 bags last harvest. The average before the rice worms was 400.
It's a big loss.
A very big loss, yeah. You almost feel like there's no use for me having a harvesting boat.
Wild rice is a major economic driver in northern Saskatchewan villages. A good harvest can bring in as much as $100,000 for a family. But at the local rice weighing station, there's growing concern as these insects eat away harvesters' income.
These worms are getting to be a big problem.
Lionel Smith says the bugs are killing so much of his rice, he's decided not to harvest at all.
20-30% of your crop is damaged.
That's a lot of income.
Yeah, yes it is. It brings in a lot of money that's required in our community.
Researchers are now testing a type of trap using pheromones to attract the insects away from the rice. Experts don't know exactly why the worms are making their way north from Manitoba and the U.S. They believe forest fires could be one driver.
You get new growth, and then it provides kind of an opportunity to the rice worm moths.
Some are considering leaving the industry.
Right now, is the future of wild rice under threat?
I would say yes. We almost want to give up.
Harvesters in this region are trying to gather whatever rice is left behind and say the search for a solution to save their livelihoods can't come soon enough. Alexander Silberman, CBC News, near Pinehouse, Saskatchewan.
The provincial NDP say they plan to introduce legislation this fall requiring the province to formally notify the public of all ER closures. The legislation would be introduced as a private member's bill. The opposition says people often only find out about local ER closures when they go to the hospital or through posts on social media. They say closures used to be posted on the Saskatchewan Health Authority's website more regularly and believe the change is politically motivated.
This information used to be publicly available, but since we've seen an 8-fold increase in the number of hospital closures in rural Saskatchewan under Premier Scott Moe's time in office, they're embarrassed. They don't want the public to be able to see how often these hospital closures are happening and what impact that's having on healthcare for rural residents.
Clark says the government could use a text or email alert system, but the government says the proposed legislation won't improve access to care. A City of Saskatoon committee wants updated requirements on who can use public spaces in town. It comes after a performance by a controversial singer last month. Helena Mahalik reports.
A City of Saskatoon committee wants city administration to draft an updated parks policy. That motion was passed at a meeting of the Governance and Priorities Committee Wednesday. It all stems from an August concert in Diefenbaker Park, featuring controversial U.S. singer Sean Freud. Freud is known for his involvement in the Make America Great Again movement and for anti-2S LGBTQ+ views. That concert made Mayor Cynthia Block put forward the motion.
What happened in the background and how much did this cost us? to be able to manage a concert that was controversial? And does that have a role to play in how we consider permitting in the future?
The committee wants administration to outline ways to enhance the requirements for who can use public spaces in the city. Bloc says allowing that concert to be held put people in the city at risk, which is why amendments need to be made.
Whether it's to do with reconciliation, equity, diversity, inclusion, our official community plan, our strategic plan, the declarations and partnerships that we have built in the city. How are we ensuring that our permitting in civic parks is respectful of that?
But Ward 6 Councillor Jasmine Parker says amending that existing bylaw might cost the city, and cancelling future events could result in lawsuits or legal fees. She wants every outcome from amending the bylaw to be reflected in administration's report.
What are the risks to the city, if we take a certain path? And I think, again, that's just bringing those conversations to light and really putting them in report form and allowing the public to speak to it when that report comes back, if that's what people want to do.
City Council will vote on the updated policy when administration has it ready. Helena Mahalik, CBC News, Saskatoon.
It is the final page for two longtime publications in Saskatchewan. The Prairie Dog in Regina and Planet S in Saskatoon are closing at the end of the month. It comes after both faced years of financial hardships. All Stephen Whitworth can do now is reminisce.
I gotta say, writing headlines was pretty fun too.
The editor of Prairie Dog magazine spent over 25 years with the publication. Now he'll see it through to its final days. The Regina paper was founded in 1993, followed by Planet S in Saskatoon. They carved a niche as two of Saskatchewan's most notable alternative media outlets. But it wasn't always easy going.
I think there was a lack of vision from people understanding what we brought to the landscape and why we were important, and a lack of understanding that we needed to be supported with advertising because that's the model of business.
Whitworth says more lucrative national advertising is hard to come by in small media markets like Regina and Saskatoon, and having to split the publications and expenses between the two cities didn't help things either. A major blow came when the city of Regina and the Saskatchewan Party stopped buying advertising space. Comic store owner Chad Boudreau often advertised in the Prairie Dog. The store's ads were even hand-drawn by Whitworth.
To be able to represent us in a way that we thought was accurate, even if it was advertising, was nice to see. And then, if I advertised anywhere else, I doubt someone's going to work as closely with us or to be as hands-on and to be as aware of who we are.
Boudreau says he's sad to see another publication close down and a sense of community lost. Mitch Diamantopoulos founded Prairie Dog. These days, he teaches journalism at the University of Regina. He says the publication offered something that mainstream media doesn't.
We went to the clubs and the arts venues, and we experienced a vibrant, diverse city, but when we would pick up the local Monopoly Daily or we would tune in the local broadcast news, we wouldn't recognize the city that was being reported on.
He hopes the publication's closure serves as another wake-up call that journalism is in a crisis.
But I think, that example is something to build on. There's a legacy there which hopefully will inform whoever comes next with the next bright idea.
But Stephen Whitworth's message to anyone looking to pick up the alternative media torch: don't do it in Saskatchewan.
We've tried everything. This clearly can't be done.
For now, he'll have his physical archive of editions through the years to remind him of better times. The Saskatchewan Roughriders are looking to improve to 11-2 this weekend against the Montreal Alouettes. They are coming off a game in which the offense struggled, kicking 5 field goals. That is a positive sign, though, for kicker Brett Lowther, who has struggled for most of the season. Head coach Corey Mace says he commends his kicker's performance.
at the end of the day, I know it's cut and dry. Just put it through the uprights, and he understands that. And you know, again, in a hostile environment, trust me, people seem to get a little extra loud when he was out there. You know, he showed up when we need him, and specifically in the big ones. So super proud of him, but he knows nothing's changed, and shoot, he's still coming out, getting extra kicks up to continue to push through it.
Kickoff against the Alouettes is Saturday at 5 o'clock at Mosaic Stadium. Well, another good day to take your lunch outside in Saskatoon and enjoy this nice warm September air. The warmth is expected to continue, but some of us may have to consider taking lunch inside these next few days, as there is some rain coming our way later this week as a more unsettled pattern shapes up. Weather specialist Riley Lachuk has all the details in his forecast after the break. Stay with us. Charlie Kirk, an American right-wing activist and Donald Trump ally, has been shot and killed. But there are still conflicting reports about whether a suspect is in custody as the investigation is ongoing. Kirk was on the campus of Utah Valley University speaking to a large crowd when a single gunshot rang out. Video shows him getting hit in the neck and falling backwards with blood gushing onto his T-shirt. The university says the shot came from a building about 180 meters away. Kirk was rushed to hospital but did not survive. He was the co-founder of Turning Point USA, the largest conservative youth organization in the country. Kirk is survived by his wife and 2 young children. The Prime Minister has kicked off the Liberal caucus retreat in Edmonton with a message to Canadians. The road forward won't be easy. Mark Carney used his opening address to MPs to focus on the need to strengthen the Canadian economy against Donald Trump's tariff threats.
Our government will spend less so that Canadians can invest more. In the election, we made a clear commitment to Canadians to bring a new fiscal discipline to the federal budget. These are tough times. We have to make tough choices for a better future. And the President of the Treasury Board is already showing how it can be done. He's just released the findings of our 60-day red tape review, identifying nearly 500 initiatives to streamline services, to cut duplication, reduce costs for Canadians.
And the fall parliamentary session begins on Monday. Well, I think a lot of us could get used to this type of weather as we head through September and October. Nice for getting outside, nice for the farmers to finish up harvest. But there is some rain on the way. Weather specialist Riley Lachuk brings us the latest in his forecast. Hi, Riley.
Well, thanks, Ethan. Yeah, another sunny day, another very hot one across much of the province. Although we have started, as we got through the afternoon hours, started to build in some cloud cover into south and central parts of the province, and even a few showers as forecast into extreme southern parts of the province, and even on the western side, seeing a few showers into the Battlefords, for example, through the afternoon. So this is the beginning of our next weather maker as it starts to push into the province. You know, I was standing here on Tuesday and talking about how we were likely to see some 30s on the board through the afternoon, into the afternoon hours. And well, here we go. Saskatoon at 30 degrees, 28 in Regina, Weyburn also 30. Many 28s, 29s across much of the province as we still sit under this ridge of high pressure, but we are looking at things changing a bit as we get into the next couple of days here. So we've already started to see the influence of an area of low pressure south of the border. That has pushed some showers into southern parts of the province, but broadly, we have this pretty weak cold front attached to an area of low pressure over the territories that will swing southward as we get through the overnight hours and into Thursday. And this does bring the potential to feel some thunderstorms. So I've stopped here at 4 o'clock in the morning, early morning hours into Thursday. The potential for some showers or some pop-up thunderstorms overnight into Saskatoon, kind of along Highway 11 and Highway 16, looking at the potential for some of that shower activity. Maybe some embedded thunderstorms into some of that. I do think that we do broadly have a better chance of seeing some of this activity along this cold front as we get later into the afternoon. You can see some of that depicted in the east here along the Manitoba border into the Parkland. And this is where we do have a better chance at seeing some thunderstorms popping up as we get later Thursday into the overnight hours into early Friday morning as this frontal boundary starts to pass through here. Doesn't do a lot in terms of temperatures. Maybe it pulls things back a couple of degrees, but certainly does give us this persistent chance of showers even lasting into Saturday and Sunday. So prepare for a few unsettled days across parts of the province as we get through the next couple of days here. So we are looking at the potential for a thunderstorm development pretty broadly south of the Trans-Canada Highway, but really across south and central, looking at the potential for some hail, some strong winds, some heavy downpours, in some cases 30 to 50 millimeters at once. So it's kind of hard to kind of put this on a map to tell you where exactly it's going to rain. Don't take some of these numbers to the bank, obviously, because this will obviously depend on where we see some of that thunderstorm development happening as we get through the next few days here. So your overnight temperatures look like this as we head into Thursday morning. 14 overnight in Regina, 12 in Saskatoon with some rain possible into some of the western sections, northwestern parts of the province as well. And then that risk of thunderstorms, although looking at a mix of sun and clouds as we head into the afternoon hours. Another warm one tomorrow, 26 in Saskatoon, Ethan, 28 in Regina, and looking at temperatures in the mid-20s pretty generally across much of the province.
All right, thank you, Riley. Well, 3 years ago, Debbie Onishenko needed a kidney. She advertised for one on the back window of her car. She eventually found a match, and now Onishenko and her donor say that life-saving donation brought them together like family.
Well, it was getting close to me having to be on dialysis and everything, and I was down to like 9% of my kidneys, and I thought, okay, I need to do something drastic. And you're on a waiting list for kidneys in Saskatchewan for a long, long time. And I saw this guy in Ontario had done this with his car, and I said, great, I'm going to give it a try. So I got the sign put up right away, and I was so impressed with people. So many people called to be a match, to try and help me. And it was wonderful. And then all of a sudden Brent called and my miracle started to happen.
Brent, did you see Debbie's car, or how did you hear about her story?
I saw it on the news, actually. There was a CBC news story that popped up on Google News. And as soon as I read the story, I immediately knew that I had to give that number a call in the back of her car.
Why, though? What motivated you to, take the next step and get tested for a complete stranger?
Well, it was, I donate blood and plasma often, but I know that donating plasma and donating blood is a lot different than donating an organ. But for me, it was just another part of that process of giving back to someone.
Debbie, you actually received the call from Brent himself. Describe that moment.
It was unbelievable. It really was. It was like all through the process, you've got hope, but you're still a little trepidatious about it. You just don't know what's going to happen because at any point there may not be a match through all the testing. And then when he called, him and his wife, Allison, it was just excitement, thrilling, unbelief also, and a lot of crying. We were so happy. It was just, I'm going to have a life.
Worth it, though?
100%. Yeah.
Would do it again?
If I had another kidney to donate, I would absolutely do it again. But you know how it is. But seeing Debbie as we see her now makes it all worthwhile. And I was saying thinking about yesterday, and I almost asked her the day after the surgery. I went to visit her in the hospital, and I almost asked her if someone had come and done her makeup, because the color of her skin was completely different just 24 hours later.
Debbie, how has life changed since?
It's amazing. I was, before, you're so sick that you don't realize how sick you are. It's just what you've become used to. And then after the surgery, it was like, wow, I feel good. And then the next day after that, I have more energy. It felt like I was on the way to recovery and to a new life.
Well, scientists say NASA's Perseverance rover has found what could be the strongest sign yet of possible ancient life on Mars. The data is from samples taken by the Mars rover over last year. Detailed studies suggest these leopard spot patterns are similar to what earthly microbes create. On our planet, these chemical reactions are a byproduct after they consume organic matter. But NASA cautions that more analysis is needed before they can reach any conclusion. Stay with us. We'll have more news and a final look at the forecast after the break. Kids at Regina General Hospital were visited by some surprise guests Wednesday. Members of the Regina Police's SWAT team dressed up as superheroes and rappelled into the courtyard.
Today I met the superheroes and they love me so much and they gave me this necklace.
And how did that make you feel?
Happy.
We're all fathers on this team. We all have children. I have 3 myself. And so children, they're just a special part of our lives. And we know we have friends on the team and we all know someone and have had kids that are sick and been in hospital for a significant amount of time. And we know the strain that puts on families and the children themselves. And we just wanted to provide some joy.
I saw Deadpool, Batman, and all the other 5 superheroes.
The kids, they're just smiling and clapping and just looking so excited for this to be going on. To have the guys hanging outside the window doing fist bumps and that through the window, and then to come in the unit, just was amazing for them.
Prepare for maybe a few unsettled days ahead, really across much of the province as we get toward the weekend here. So into Thursday for Regina, I think our best risk at seeing some thunderstorms into the afternoon. Otherwise, looking at a chance of scattered showers as we get through the day. Temperatures back into the high 20s, and then that cold front pushes through and does pull things back a few degrees as we get into Friday and Saturday, but still above seasonal for this time of the year. And you'll notice this persistent chance of showers or some rain or some thunderstorms as we get into the weekend here. Into next week, looking at 26 for Monday. Then we start to fall back towards seasonal. You'll notice Tuesday into Wednesday, looking at some single-digit overnight temperatures. So back towards seasonal. Saskatoon equally is unsettled the next few days. Chance of showers persisting right through Friday into Saturday. Then we'll get some clearing briefly into Sunday before we get another round of that potentially as we head into Monday. And temperatures again dropping closer to seasonal, but still, Ethan, staying above seasonal as we get into the middle of next week.
Summer in September. Thanks, Riley. And that is our news for this Wednesday. For news anytime, you can always head to our website or subscribe to our YouTube channel or download the CBC News app on your smartphone or tablet. Thanks so much for watching.